show no mercy. You need to suspend Marina Mabrey.
Marina Mabrey, she was assaulted Caitlin Clark.
Everything, and it was Marina Mabrey just cleaning out Caitlin Clark.
That was a wild one. That was so unexpected.
Caitlin Clark got shoved after an eye poke.
Marina Mabrey, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
This is a physical league. You need to get used to it.
Now it's officially a flagrant 2, and a fine has been handed down. But fans say it's too little, too late. Is the WNBA doing enough to protect its biggest star?
And they especially weren't protecting the #1 player in this league, the biggest draw in this league, which is Caitlin Clark, and they continue to not do that.
Comment below if you think Caitlin deserves better protection.
Anytime you play the Fever, the intensity of every game, it goes up. Caitlin Clark is the #1 scouted player in the league.
All eyes are on Caitlin Clark. All eyes on the needle mover, CC. All eyes on Caitlin Clark, and y'all know it. Should have advertised more for these games. All eyes on Caitlin Clark. All eyes on Caitlin Clark. All eyes on Caitlin Clark.
The game was already tense. Indiana Fever versus Connecticut Sun, and then it exploded. Caitlin Clark had just taken a poke to the eye.
Caitlin Clark gets poked in the eye. Marina Mabrey doesn't even see what happens, and she just decides to clean Caitlin Clark out of it.
She was visibly dazed, grabbing at her face, trying to recover. Then out of nowhere, Marina Mabrey blindsides her with a hard shove, sending her crashing to the floor.
Marina Mabrey just coming in and thrashing into Caitlin Clark, of course, slamming her to the ground.
Clark never even saw it coming. And what did the refs do?
And how egregious the referees were and how they were not protecting players. Referees were not calling it. The refs in general were horrid.
The referees need to do their job.
A simple technical foul.
Now we have seen a non-basketball play getting shoved to the ground, and it's just a technical foul.
How the hell do you get poked in the eye and pushed to the ground and you get a technical?
No ejection, no flagrant. The arena was stunned. Fans watching at home were furious. It didn't look like a basketball play. It looked personal.
We see Caitlin Clark on the receiving end of something, and it's not called correctly.
Within hours, the clip went viral, racking up over 30 million views across platforms.
Marina Mabrey cheap shots a Caitlin Clark who had just been poked in the eye, with Caitlin Clark not even looking in her direction.
People weren't just upset with Mabrey. They were furious at the officiating.
If the first was called correctly, the second never happens. The issue isn't with the players, it's with the officials and getting things under control.
Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark.
If that wasn't enough for an ejection, what is? The refs had a chance to calm things down.
What do you actually need to do to get ejected? Because Marina just came out of nowhere and chucked her to the ground and was not ejected for that. So what do you actually need to do to be ejected from the game in a WNBA game?
To send a message, but they chose not to. And what happened next? Total chaos. Players from both sides got heated. The intensity spiked. What could have been just a physical game turned into a near brawl with multiple players ejected.
There should be a flagrant 1, of course, on JC Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball, whether it is intentional or not.
Fined and criticized. It wasn't until after the game, after the internet backlash, and after massive media pressure that the WNBA stepped in. Marina Mabrey's hit was upgraded to a flagrant 2.
An update. It has been upgraded. She has now been upgraded to a flagrant 2.
And she was fined. But for many fans, it was already too late. The damage was done. Caitlin was hit again. And again, no one protected her in real time.
Caitlin Clark goes, she pumps up. The Indiana Fever put people around her. They put vets around her who know how to deal with the physicality, and that you do have to step up to somebody getting overly physical to any of your teammates.
The moment Marina Mabrey shoved Caitlin Clark, everything changed. Not just in that game, but in how fans, analysts, and even players began viewing the state of officiating in the WNBA. Immediately after the play, social media exploded.
Marina Mabrey gets a pass from a certain group of people because she is seen as anti-Caitlin Clark.
JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face, swipes her in the eyeball. Marina Mabrey, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
Caitlin Clark is being targeted.
Marina Mabrey, she was assaulted. Caitlin Clark.
Hashtags like our Protect Clark, Just WNBA Fail, and Fire the Refs started trending. Countless fans pointed out what was obvious. The referees dropped the ball again.
The referees are going to review the play. They looked at it for 15 minutes. Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And JC Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
They had the opportunity to control the situation by ejecting Mabrey on the spot, but instead they called only a technical foul, the lightest possible penalty. This wasn't just about one missed call. For many, it felt like part of a larger pattern, a failure to protect Caitlin Clark.
This was not a dirty play. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul, and it was meant to send a message. Tina Charles runs over and was blocking her, and then Marina Mabrey, when she comes out of nowhere, Tina Charles immediately puts her hands up and backs away because she didn't want that to be like, I didn't do that, essentially, was what she was saying. Like, I didn't do that.
The league's rising superstar. The moment they let Mabrey stay in the game, they set the tone. They told the players on both teams that this level of physicality was acceptable.
So when Marina Mabrey was allowed to kind of cheap shot Caitlin Clark and shove her to the ground when she wasn't even looking, kind of holding her eye, that tells everyone on that court, okay, this is the level of physicality that we are allowing in the game.
And that's exactly what happened. Things got worse. Within minutes, tensions escalated. A chain reaction followed. Sophie Cunningham committed a hard foul.
Sophie commits a hard foul on JC Sheldon. Again, as JC Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. Payback for what was happening the entire game. Sophie. Like, if the refs aren't going to handle it, I will handle it.
The people that love the Indiana Fever love that Sophie Cunningham did this. They love that she took a stand. They love the message that she sent.
J.C. Sheldon and Lindsay Allen were ejected.
A lot of it is centered around the last 46 seconds where Sophie Cunningham hard fouls JC Sheldon. She gets ejected. JC gets ejected. Does Lindsay? I think Lindsay gets ejected. And, you know, in watching the broadcast, even the broadcasters at the time mentioned if they would have just ejected Marina Mabrey, this probably wouldn't have happened.
And benches cleared. The final 46 seconds of the game were pure chaos. 6 technicals, 3 ejections, 2 flagrants. It was no longer basketball. It was a meltdown.
There were 6 technical fouls issued. There were 3 ejections and there were 2 flagrant fouls. For one game, that is bananas.
And fans weren't the only ones upset. Even the broadcasters on the official WNBA feed were shocked, openly questioning the refs in real time. Commentators said that had Mabrey been tossed early, the later altercations likely never would have happened. Their point? The game got out of hand because officials failed to set boundaries. The criticism wasn't limited to Twitter threads.
The WNBA continues to fail to meet the moment. Terrible decision to allow Marina Mabrey to stay in the game. People are watching as never before, and this is what they see.
It was everywhere. From sports talk shows to national outlets, from locker rooms to press conferences. Coaches, including Caitlin's own, expressed frustration with the lack of consistency and care from the officials.
I mean, it's not actually crazy. It's not surprising, unfortunately, because the referees have been horrible this entire time.
You like to pump Caitlin for views, then let players tag team assault her. WNBA leadership needs to be investigated and replaced at NBA. I've noticed a lot more people are starting to tag the NBA. And when you make one of these posts, guys, you need to at the NBA in this stuff too.
All right, enough is enough. You know, at some point, the line gets crossed too often where something needs to be done and things need to be corrected.
The call to action was loud and clear. You can't keep letting this happen to the most watched player in the league. And let's not forget, the crowd knew it too. Every time Marina Mabrey touched the ball after the shove, the boos rained down. Fans were livid. It wasn't just a controversial foul anymore. It became a symbol of how poorly the league protects its stars.
That the referees didn't automatically throw her ass right out of that arena is exactly why all eyes are on the WNBA,
Eventually, after immense pressure, the WNBA responded. The league upgraded the call to a Flagrant 2 and fined Mabrey. But the question remains, why does it always take massive backlash for the right thing to happen? This wasn't just about a shove, it was about the failure of the system. A system that should have stood up for Caitlin Clark in real time, not hours later under pressure.
Now, they have the CBA coming up, and so much of the viewership, so much of the bottom line and revenue is dependent on none other than Caitlin Clark. So you would at least want to make sure that anything that goes on around her definitely gets watched with like an extra level of safety, just an extra level of measure of care for, the well-being.
This isn't just about a shove, it's about a pattern. A growing, undeniable pattern. One where Caitlin Clark is being physically targeted game after game with minimal consequences for the players who do it and the officials who allow it. Caitlin Clark didn't come into the WNBA quietly. She came in with the weight of an entire league on her shoulders, bringing millions of new fans.
Caitlin Clark always show love to her fans.
So we're going on vacation to Las Vegas, and we are going to go see Caitlin Clark at the Indiana Fever against the Aces.
No way!
We already have tickets.
Really?
Really?
Thank you.
Row A, no one in front of us, but we're the very top level. That's all we can do.
Correlation stated, Caitlin Clark saw the video. I hope the little girl has the best time at the game. So I'm guessing the mom wrote a comment under Caitlin Clark post or whatnot. She stated, "My daughter is so excited to see you play in Vegas, praying a Hail Mary for your speedy recovery and hoping you'll be able to play by then. Hashtag Caitlin Clark, hashtag Indiana Fever." Caitlin Clark immediately, 6 minutes later, stated, "Check your DM." Caitlin goes out her way for the people that support her.
Historic viewership and national attention to every game she plays. And whether players admit it or not, that spotlight creates resentment, it creates tension, and it fuels physicality. From day one, defenders have treated her like a threat, and not just on the scoreboard. She's been hip-checked, elbowed, tripped, knocked to the floor, and now blindsided after getting poked in the eye.
JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor.
And over again, the response has been delayed, weak, or non-existent. But here's where things get serious. This isn't just about Clark being a rookie. This is about the league's responsibility. The WNBA has marketed her as the face of the future. She's the headline, the ticket seller, the primetime slot, the reason thousands of fans show up, pack arenas, and tune in from across the country. So why isn't she being protected like it?
Think if this was LeBron in the NBA. Think if this was Steph Curry in the NBA. Do you really think that the NBA would be allowing certain players in the NBA to go after LeBron the way that Caitlin was chucked to the ground? Do you think if another player came up, blindsided LeBron, chucked him to the ground after he had just been poked in the eye, that the NBA would be like, oh yeah, technicals, nobody's ejected?
The NBA protects its stars. You don't see LeBron James or Stephen Curry getting shoved to the ground without repercussions. But Caitlin Clark, she gets knocked down and the whistle is either late or never comes at all. This latest incident with Marina Mabrey is just another chapter. A star player is poked in the eye.
JC Sheldon swipes her in the eyeball. Even if you look at this play where JC Sheldon eventually swipes Caitlin in the eyeball, she had contact with her like 4 to 5 times. That should have been called a foul before the eye swipe even happened. Referees, what are you doing? Open your eyes.
Then shoved hard from behind while disoriented, and the game continues as if nothing happened. No flagrant, no ejection, no accountability. The referees set the tone that this was acceptable, and from there, everything escalated, proving that without immediate action, the physicality will spiral out of control. Even more concerning, this isn't the first time. When Kennedy Carter delivered a cheap shot to Clark weeks ago, it also took a public outcry before the league responded.
All eyes are on Caitlin Clark. All eyes on the needle mover, CC. All eyes on Caitlin Clark, and y'all know it. Should have advertised more for these games. All eyes on Caitlin Clark. All eyes on Caitlin Clark. All eyes on Caitlin Clark.
If this pattern continues, fans, players, and sponsors will start to ask, is the WNBA serious about protecting its own investment? Because make no mistake, Caitlin Clark is the WNBA's most valuable asset right now. Viewership is up. Merchandise sales are booming. Social media is flooded with her highlights. The future of the league's media deals, attendance, and global growth is tied directly to her presence on the court. And yet, the league has allowed an environment where she's a target, not just for defenders, but for hate. Some players are applauded for taking hard shots at her. Social media is full of people cheering when she gets knocked down.
Shout out to the Indiana Fever fans because you guys came in so strong and we're doing exactly what fans need to do. We saw the Caitlin Clark effect last season. We saw the influx of millions of new fans, billions of dollars in revenue that came to the WNBA, and that was supposed to come to the WNBA this season.
You can't win a game without Caitlin Clark.
She's already starting on fire, man. She's ready to go. Look, jersey lifted up. Oh, throwing the jersey. Swing it around your head like a helicopter, then leaves the building, all right?
And worse, there's now a double standard where any response to protect Clark is labeled soft or overhyped, while physical fouls against her are brushed off as just part of the game. But this isn't about being soft. This is about safety, respect, and setting a precedent. If the league fails to protect its top player, it sends a message to every other rookie, every future star. You're on your own. And that's a dangerous message for a league trying to grow. The WNBA is at a crossroads. It has never had this much attention or this much at stake.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT. She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
Fans are watching, the media is watching, and yes, young girls dreaming of joining the league someday are watching too. What they see matters. If the league wants to protect its reputation, its momentum, and its future, it has to start protecting Caitlin Clark. Not later. Not after the fact. Right now. Because the next shove, the next elbow, the next fall could be the one that finally crosses the line. And if that happens, the WNBA will only have itself to blame.
The Sophie Cunningham, JC Sheldon incident. I did not understand. When you're winning the game by 17 points and you're doing this, to me, stupid foul. This is just disrespectful, and I do not know how Lindsay Allen and JC Sheldon get ejected from the game when they did nothing. For me, it's just disrespectful to do that foul when you're winning the game by 17 points. Completely stupid.
There wasn't an explanation for the tech that she got. You know, I think it was pretty obvious that stuff was brewing, right? When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game, it's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're going to compete. And they're going to have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So I started talking to the officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. You could tell it was going to happen. So they got to get control of it. They got to be better.
What happened to Caitlin Clark wasn't just a missed call. It was a warning sign. A flagrant 2 and a fine came after the damage was done. But how many more hits does she have to take before the league takes action in real time? Caitlin isn't just a rookie. She's the heartbeat of this new WNBA era, and it's time she was protected like it. This is bigger than one play. It's about accountability. It's about safety. And it's about standing up for the players who are changing the game. If you believe the league needs to do better,
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT. She signed my jersey. So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball, period.
drop a comment. Let your voice be heard. And if you want to keep following the truth behind the headlines and standing with Caitlin Clark,
we saw the Caitlin Clark effect last season. We saw the influx of millions of new fans, billions of dollars in revenue that came to the WNBA, and that was supposed to come to the WNBA this season.
You can't win a game without Caitlin Clark.
She's already starting on fire, man. She's ready to go. Look, jersey lifted up. Oh, throwing the jersey. Swing it around your head like a helicopter, then leaves the building, all right?
make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we're not done talking about this. This is her league, and we're going to make sure it stays that way.